A pleasant day to everyone. All of us know that food is one of the human's basic needs in order to survive. Moreover, it is needed of every living person. Therefore, it is important to get the right amount of food so we don't waste it. Food is any nutritious substance that is eaten, drunk, or taken into the body in order to sustain life, give energy for activities, promote growth, and all functions of the body. Healthy foods is cheaper than junk foods, and all that goes to preparation at low cost. We need to be wise and careful in choosing what we eat in order to get the right nutrients that our body needs. Consume more healthy foods to have a strong body and to live longer. But before we continue, let us the researchers introduce ourselves.
I'm Grish Abaya.
I am Aljon Margvin Luan Aron.
I am Nicole Sean Manalo Balenton.
I'm Patricia Ivonne Benitez.
I am Divina P. Cruzado.
And I am Ranamil B. Tenorio.
And we are the Women of Automation.
We are here today to present our study entitled The Marketability of Sweet Potato Parmesan Balls as Substitute for Dessert of Selected Consumers in Lian, Batangas. Sweet potatoes are sweet, starchy root vegetables that are grown throughout the world. It is one of the healthy foods that had many nutrients. Sweet potato is a natural source of beta-carotene and vitamin A. It is a great source of fiber, antioxidants, and other many vitamins and minerals. Given that sweet potatoes are rich in many nutrients, there are also health benefits that we can get from it. Some of the health benefits that we can get from sweet potatoes are: first, it prevents vitamin A deficiency. Second, it manages diabetes. Third, it can help to prevent, protect, and manage cancer. Fourth, it supports healthy vision. Fifth, it enhances brain function. The sixth one, it helps to support our immune system. Now, let's proceed to the statement of the problem of this study. Number 1. Identifying the profile of the respondents in terms of age and monthly income. Number 2. What are the perspective of the consumers about the substitution of sweet potato parmesan balls as dessert in terms of product, place, price, and promotion? Number 3. How does the consumers accept sweet potato parmesan balls as a new product in the market? And lastly, how does the uniqueness and benefits of the product be an asset for its advantage towards its competitors?
The objective of this study is to determine the marketability of sweet potato parmesan balls as substitute for dessert of selected consumers in Lian, Batangas. This will identify specifically the profile of the respondents, the positioning strategy to be used, the marketing mix strategy that should be formulated and implemented to determine the marketability of the product.
For the scope and limitation, this study focuses on determining the marketability of sweet potato parmesan balls as substitute for dessert to the selected consumer on Lian, Batangas. The study was limited on the respondents' knowledge about the marketability of sweet potato parmesan balls as a substitute for dessert. Additionally, it was further limited to the respondents' availability and sincerity in the answering the survey questionnaire and the number of retrieved questionnaire.
We, the researchers, use two types of sources of data, which are the primary source, such as survey questionnaire, and secondary sources such as books, journals, articles, and studies that are related to the present studies.
In the preparation of the instrument, the researchers use a nominal scale type of questions to identify reliable information that can help the study. The questionnaires produced by the researchers have 4 parts. First is knowing the personal profile of the respondents. Second part contains the product, price, place, and promotion. The third part of our questionnaire is the acceptability of the product. And lastly, determining the best way to increase the competitive advantage of the product.
For data gathering procedure, the researchers made a letter for approval to conduct the study. The survey was conducted of the selected consumer in Lian, Batangas. The questionnaire was distributed to 100 respondents.
As for the statistical tools, the data to be gathered in this study will be carefully tabulated, and subjected to the following statistical treatment. The frequency of each respondent will be determined on the number of the respondents who will check in the particular item.
For the findings of this study, the table shows the frequency and percentage of the respondents who receive our survey through Google Form. For the profile of the respondents in terms of age, 3% of the respondents are 10 to 15 years old. Then, 69% of the respondents are ages 16 to 20 years old. The remaining 28% of the respondents are 20 years old and above. As for the monthly income of the respondents, 84% of them answered that their monthly income ranges into 5,000 pesos to 10,000 pesos. 8% of the respondents answered 11,000 pesos to 15,000 pesos, while the 5% of the respondents answered
16,000 pesos to 20,000 pesos.
The last 3% of the respondents answered that their monthly income are
20,000 pesos and above.
Now, let's proceed on how sweet potato parmesan balls change the perspective of consumer in choosing dessert in Lian, Batangas in terms of, first is the health benefit of the product. 7% of the respondents agreed in enhance the brain function, support the immune system got 25% of approval, while 66% of the respondents answered highly nutritious, and the last 2% of the respondents answered can prevent cancer. As for the taste of the product, 28% of the respondents wants the product to be sweet. 2% of the respondents wants it to be salty, while the other 70% of the respondents wants the balance of sweetness and saltiness of the product.
When it comes to the fries, 75% of the respondents agreed on 30 to 35 pesos. 13% answered 36 to 40 pesos, while 7% of the respondents are okay with the price of 41 to 45 pesos. And lastly, the 5% answered 46 to 50 pesos.
In terms of place for the distribution of the product, 26% of the respondents prefer school, the other 6% answered mall, 2% of the respondents answered church, street got 20% of the respondents' approval, and lastly, 46% of the respondents agreed on the public market.
For the promotion of the product, 62% of the respondents answered online advertisement. Then printed flyers got 12% of the respondents' approval. And lastly, verbal or through face-to-face got 26%.
In terms of acceptability, 4% of the respondents strongly agreed to the appearance of the product. The other 50% agreed, while 5% answered neutral, and the remaining 1% disagreed to the appearance of the product. When it comes to the size of product, 27% of the respondents strongly agreed to 5 by 4 cm, while 62% agreed, and the last 11% answered neutral.
For the texture of the product, 32% of the
Strongly agree.
being soft and sticky, while the 52% of the respondents agreed, and the last 16% of the respondents answered neutral.
For the packaging of the products, 30% of the respondents strongly agreed on long paper foil. The other 58% agreed, while 11% of the respondents answered neutral. And there is 1% of the respondents who disagree.
Considering the willingness of the consumers for buying the product, 97% strongly agreed and 3% agreed to buy the product.
As for the best way to increase the competitive advantage of the product, 59% of the respondents want is to accept feedback and make improvement to the product, while 28% of the respondents says make the price more affordable. Launching promos such as when buying with the amount of 100 pesos. The other 10% of the respondents answered you will have 2 free sweet potato parmesan balls got. And the last 3% of the respondents want promo giveaways during special occasions such as Christmas and New Year.
For the conclusion of this study, the study of determining the marketability of sweet potato parmesan balls as substitute for dessert of selected consumers in Lian, Batangas, we come up to the conclusion that the proposed product named sweet potato parmesan balls has a high potential to gain market acceptability and success. Based on the findings evaluated after the analysis of data gathered, the 97% of the respondents are very much willing and open to the idea of buying sweet potato parmesan balls as substitute dessert in today's market.
And lastly, for the recommendation of this study, we divided it into 4 sectors, which are the 4 P's. The first one is product. Proponents should work on the physical characteristics of a proposed product. It also recommended that the taste of the product should have balance, sweetness, and saltiness.
Pricing. The study further recommends that the price of the product should be more affordable in order to have plenty of potential consumers.
In choosing the place for the distribution of the product, first we identify the attributes of the place such as the population in order to prevent bankruptcy.
And last, promotion. The study recommends that the researchers must use advertisement for promoting the products. Advertisement will help the researchers to attract consumers in the present and future time.